The master plan from colonialism, as I'm sure you know and people are more aware of now, was to take the Indian out of the Indian. Yet I think we held on by a string, and I to use that metaphor because I am a weaver, and my string is connected to my history and my ancestors.
It's amazing when you think about it. I think it's miraculous, you know, when I think about the things that our people went through: disease, residential school, legislated poverty. We weren't even allowed to leave the reserve without a pass that was signed by somebody to say, oh yeah, okay, you can go to the store. You know, and that was just my father's generation. You know, so we think about these things that all those ancestors went through, and we're still carrying what they brought for us. I come from a long line of weavers, a long line of doctors, healers. Um, in my lineage, there was a man who they called the war chief Kitsap. He was a war chief who helped in the Indian Wars back in the 1850s. All of them banded together to fight for our land and fight for the right to live our life as we were as Native Americans, or as indigenous people, as people say nowadays.
Well, I was born at Sumas Indian Reserve. I was 8 years old when the missionaries found me and I was taken to residential school. We were told we had to change. We couldn't carry anything that belonged to the past because we had to become Christian. They said we were heathens and savages. We had to leave all that behind. And so obediently, we did everything we could to forget the things we were taught by our elders. And then, of course, each year when I went back, elders were dying. You know, the next generation of people were already following the new ways. When we were colonized, we were not allowed to keep our identity. We were not allowed to weave or to speak our language or to pass anything on to the future generations. All these things were taken away. In order for me to carry on with the education of who I am, I was taken out away from the village, out to an old longhouse by the river, and that's where I learned to do all these things that I wasn't supposed to learn.
We were connected. We were connected to our environment, to the earth, to the water, to the oceans, to the universe. And so this disruption that happened by colonialism set out to take that away from us.
A lot of things perished because of colonialism. A lot of knowledge passed when Europeans arrived. Upwards of 90% of the people perished, right, from diseases brought by Europeans. So a lot of knowledge was lost. A lot of society was lost. One of the casualties of colonialism was the woolly dog. My great-great-grandmother, my mom's grandmother, had her own dogs. They made the blankets from the woolly dog, and they raised the woolly dog. They kept them in-house.
The smaller woolly dog, smaller in stature, looked more like a Pomeranian, a Spitz, a Samoyed. usually bred for the ideal longer hair that was preferably white. The whiter the wool, the more valued.
It was the woolly dog and the goat hair that made up the blankets.